Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. First call, Cowboys showed interest in George Pickens, Cleveland confusion about Kenny Pickett's fifth-year option. Tuesday's first call features more smoke about how close the Pittsburgh Steelers and Dallas Cowboys may have come to a George Pickens trade. A pair of former WPIAL standouts are getting rookie minicamp invites from the Steelers. There was some confusion over Kenny Pickett's fifth-year option. Duquesne basketball is losing an assistant coach and a former Pirates pitcher is going on the injured list, again. During her latest Scoop City podcast, Diana Russini said the Steelers were making and fielding trade calls about wide receiver George Pickens. He's on the trading block. Teams are calling about him. The Steelers are calling, Russini said. Right before the draft and during the draft, the Steelers were calling around. Teams were calling them. There were conversations flying around about George Pickens. But I think it's probably at this point not going to be something we see. One of those teams apparently is Dallas. They had conversations, Russini added. Nothing came to fruition. It could still happen. It wouldn't make sense now that the draft is over. A trade would only be necessary if the Steelers can't work out an extension with the Pickens. And Russini's co-host, former NFL QB Chase Daniel, insisted that Pickens likes his time in Pittsburgh because of his head coach. Mike Tomlin and him have a very strong relationship, Daniel insisted. I don't know if George Pickens' antics could fly anywhere but the Pittsburgh Steelers. In advance of the draft, there were rumors about both the Cowboys and Green Bay Packers having an interest in Pickens. Green Bay drafted two receivers, Texas' Matthew Golden, TCU's Savion Williams. The Cowboys didn't draft any. A pair of WPIAL products are getting minicamp looks from the Steelers. One of them is Central Michigan center Dominic Serapiglia. The Thomas Jefferson High School alum spent 2 seasons with the Chippewas, starting 24 games. The 24-year-old was a 2-time All-MAC honoree. Central Michigan University made the announcement on social media. MT Lebanon native Seth Morgan is getting a minicamp invite too. Morgan's reps at the Gridiron Crew posted the news on Instagram. The New Hampshire quarterback also spent time at VMI and Division II Shepherd in West Virginia. Steelers' depth chart just shifted big time after 2025 NFL Draft. With the biggest offseason event of the NFL calendar year in the books, we already have an early look at the Pittsburgh Steelers' depth chart. General Manager Omar Khan entered the 2025 NFL Draft with just 6 draft picks, but after trading back once in round 5, Khan was able to get the total number of selections up to 7. Despite the lack of a second-round pick because of the DK Metcalf trade, the Steelers were able to string together an impressive draft class on paper that included value picks throughout. The Steelers' depth chart took one big step toward the roster we will witness in training camp this summer. Here's my initial depth chart prediction after the 2025 NFL Draft. When you look at the Steelers' depth chart from top to bottom, it's not hard to start getting excited about this group. Admittedly, their depth remains thin at multiple positions. Pittsburgh didn't address the cornerback position until late in the draft with Dante Kent, while safety Sebastian Castro was an undrafted free agent who isn't guaranteed to make the final roster. At the quarterback position, 6th-round pick Will Howard offers much-needed depth alongside Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. Howard will attempt to work his way up the ladder. He should be in a firm position to land the QB3 role this year, even if Aaron Rodgers ultimately signs with Pittsburgh. At running back, Caleb Johnson will immediately slot ahead of veteran Kenneth Gainwell as the RB2, and in time, Johnson could steal the starting job from Jaylen Warren. On the defensive side of the ball, Derek Harmon will be a day 1 starter next to Cameron Hayward and Keanu Benton when the Steelers are in their base 3-4 defense. Harmon will also be worked into sub-packages where he can show off his quickness, bend, and nimble feet to get to the quarterback. With the recent release of Montravius Adams, I have fifth-round rookie Yahya Black slotting in behind Benton as the primary backup nose tackle. Black is a run defense specialist who could see some rotational work on early downs and obvious run situations. At edge rusher, I have fourth-round draft Steele Jackson Sayer, a left edge at Ohio State, working behind T.J. Watt, with Nick Herbig primarily focused on rushing off the right edge behind Alex Highsmith. I also have Carson Bruner slotted as a third-string off-ball linebacker, as he may be competing with Mark Robinson to make the roster on special teams. The Pittsburgh Steelers still have some fine-tuning to do to ensure this depth chart is pristine before training camp, but adding a talented 2025 draft class was a great start. Steelers still have potential alternative to signing Aaron Rodgers, insider. The Pittsburgh Steelers clearly still have signing quarterback Aaron Rodgers at the top of their offseason priority list. With the NFL draft now passed, Pittsburgh's other quarterback possibilities are dwindling. However, NFL Network's Ian Rappaport said one alternative to Rodgers still exists for the team, Kirk Cousins. Rappaport told Pat McAfee on Monday that the Steelers are not only still a possible trade destination for Cousins but that it's the only potential landing spot remaining on the table for the Atlanta Falcons signal caller. If Aaron Rodgers does not go to Pittsburgh, I think that would be a possibility for Cousins. But it feels to me like the other possibilities kind of don't exist anymore, said Rappaport. People talked about the Vikings, okay, well they traded for Sam Howell. People talked about maybe the Browns. Okay, well they drafted a second quarterback in Shedeur Sanders. In addition to Shedeur Sanders, the Cleveland Browns also selected Oregon quarterback Dillon Gabriel in the middle rounds of the 2025 NFL Draft. The Steelers drafted Ohio State quarterback Will Howard. But as a sixth-round choice, he is considered a developmental prospect. Pittsburgh's other quarterbacks currently on the roster are Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. The big question entering the 2025 NFL Draft was whether the Steelers would select Sanders at number 21 overall during the first round. After they didn't, it became rather clear that quarterback wasn't going to be a position the team addressed early in the draft. Ahead of the second round, Steelers president Art Rooney II said on Steelers Nation Radio that if they did draft a quarterback, it wouldn't be someone seriously contending to start in 2025. During the same radio appearance, Rooney also continued to express confidence that Rodgers would join the Steelers. We're still kind of getting the same signals we've been getting recently that he does want to come here, Rooney said. I do think we may get word soon. NFL insiders and pundits have reported for weeks that the signs indicate that Rodgers will join with the Steelers. If the 41-year-old quarterback is going to play in 2025, the Steelers are the best bet now simply because every other team has the top two spots on its quarterback depth chart filled. Similar to the Cousins situation, the Minnesota Vikings were a potential destination for Rodgers. Minnesota trading for Sam Howell, though, eliminates the Vikings as a place for either Rodgers or Cousins. Rodgers told McAfee on April 17 that he isn't signed because someone in his inner circle is dealing with a personal issue. Rodgers said that has been his priority this offseason and that he's been upfront with the Steelers about his situation. And you fan? What do you think about Aaron Rodgers' situation? Write to us in the comments.